Canelo Alvarez defeats Only Charlo by unanimous decision. Paulie Malignaggi here for Paulie TV. So, I think this fight was probably a dud of a fight. I mean, I don't know what everybody else feels at home. I never felt like Only Charlo committed to trying to win the fight. It's unfortunate. It's sad. This is why boxing has the problems it has. The whole, Al Bernstein at the end, giving it the whole sell of, Jamel tried to be great, moved up, all this stuff. He didn't try anything. That's the thing. He showed up for a check. And that's the problem with the fight tonight. People go up, they dare to be great, they try. Of course, when you get a big paycheck, the biggest paycheck possible in the business, because you're finding the biggest money guy in the business, it's easier to try to be great. But you've got to at least try to win the fight in order to actually be defined as trying to be great. I felt like Jamel showed up for a check. From the beginning, he was non-committal the entire time. It was actually very, very frustrating to watch. You can see early in the fight, listen, you can understand that somebody starting slow, maybe being on the move. But Canelo got on the front foot right away. Jamel is not really a back foot boxer. He's a boxer, but he's a guy who still needs to kind of be planted to get off that double jab right hand to start out the combinations he wants to throw. A lot of times that's his best entrance into the pocket is off of that. He never feinted. He just moved around, threw very non-committal punches. It reminded me of when Teddy Atlas was in the corner of Michael Moore, and he was basically telling him when he was giving him that pep talk during, I think it was during the Holyfield fight when he won the title, where he was telling him basically, you're lying to yourself in there. You're doing just enough to hope and hope. You're doing just enough, throwing just enough punches and doing just enough work to make him, to hope for him to leave you alone. And you hope that he leaves you alone. And you're lying to yourself. You're not going to win tomorrow. You're going to cry tomorrow. I don't think Jamel's going to cry tomorrow, mind you. I think he showed up for the check. He got the biggest check of his career. And after the fight, instead of sounding at least in the least bit disappointed, he was calling out Terrence Crawford. So you're just looking for another check. I'll tell you what, that also told me something else too. The lack of hunger displayed by Jamel also tells me that I don't think he's going to be the same even at 154 pounds. Listen, there's some hungry guys at 154 like Tim Tszyu. Crawford, even at his advanced age, is still looking like a hungry fighter. Still, there are those kind of fighters where no matter what kind of money they make, they're hungry for that greatness. It's very rare. I'll tell you, as having been somebody who made some money in boxing and had a pretty good career myself, I'll tell you what, when you make a certain amount of money, you do get a little bit less hungry. Jamel made a lot of money tonight, and I don't think he cared that he lost. He never seemed disappointed. He never seemed to try. Whenever he landed even a decent shot, he wouldn't even follow up. Usually you land a decent shot, you land a pretty good shot, you follow it up, you try to throw a follow-up combination, you try to throw a follow-up power shot. Anytime he even landed a decent shot, he used that chance to try to keep moving afterwards. He never really committed to an attack. In the All Access, we saw that he was talking about the Caleb Plant fight and said, Canelo coming in like that, he's not going to do that against me. Not only did he do that against Jamel, he did it better. It's just Jamel's not even as crafty as Caleb, but Jamel not trying to win the fight allowed him to go the distance. I don't know. I was just really disappointed, man. I thought Canelo did do a good job. I thought he established himself very well. Again, he didn't have a lot coming back to him. He didn't have a guy who was committed to try to win the fight, but he did show a lot in the fight. He did show commitment. He showed he wanted to try to get the stoppage. He mentally broke Jamel, whatever desire there was. He imposed himself from the very beginning, mentally from the start. Went to the body very, very well. I thought Canelo did some really good work with the body shots, and he did some good work disguising them as well. And Jamel really wasn't getting off a lot of counters or catches and catch and shoots even, or when he would try to fire back in the small times he would in between, he was firing back late. Like, those quick catch and shoot reactions have to be quickly timed, snappy, and he really, Jamel wasn't, because I think Canelo was doing a good job of disguising whether he's going to go to the head or to the body with the shots. A solid knockdown with the right hand to the temple. Thought a nice short right hand. Again, I thought Canelo did a very good job of disguising his offense. He was very, very he was very, very well paced. Canelo is always a guy who never really fights at a fast pace. Fought a good pace, controlled the pace very well, looked very mature, and honestly, he looked very, very good. But again, this is also an opponent that's going to let you do that. This is still a problem with Canelo choosing his opponents. After the fight, you have Canelo saying that anybody in the world he's ready for anybody in the world. Well, we hope now that we get the Benavidez fight, because this was a situation where you get a guy 2 weight classes too small, goes into the ring knowing he's really too small, is satisfied with the check and isn't trying to win the fight. So it's easy to look this good against a guy who's not even trying to win the fight. Having said that, like I said, Canelo, I thought the shot selection was creative. I thought he went to the body very well, cut the ring off very well, and never gave Jamel a chance to even grow a little bit of confidence in the fight. And Jamel never took chances. I mean, he started out non-committal and he remained non-committal throughout the fight. I mean, it was. I thought it was generous even giving him the couple rounds he won. You know what I'm saying? And that was more to do with Canelo doing less work in the round or two that Jamel might have won than it was for anything really eye-opening that Jamel did in the fight. You know, I'm a little bit frustrated. I'll be honest with you. I thought it was enjoyable to see Canelo do good work. I was expecting a lot more from Jamel, and I was expecting Only Charlo to at least address the non-committalness after the fight. He did to a degree, saying, okay, this guy's 2 weight classes too big, and this is boxing, this happens. Yes, you're right. But he never tried to win the fight. And you owe that to the fans. This is why channels like Showtime are bailing on boxing. You know what I mean? You sell this whole fight, you sell all these shenanigans, and then afterwards, instead of admitting things like Larry Merchant used to do, we're admitting, hey man, this was a dud, you're still trying to sell the whole he dared to be great crap. Get out of here with that crap, man. You know what I mean? Like, listen, Jamel picked up a check and I'm happy for him, but this was not an effort that he put. This was not a hungry fighter. This is not a fighter that cared if he lost tonight. This is a fighter that's going to go back home and satisfied with a nice check. It doesn't bother him that he lost. And honestly, you can tell, like I said, the fact that he's calling out Crawford instead of addressing everything afterwards was really the icing on the cake as far as establishing the fact that he couldn't care less about the fact that he didn't try to win the fight was a dud, and all this other stuff. You can disguise it all you want. Yes, Canelo looked good. It's easy to look good against a guy not trying to win the fight. And this all comes, like I said, this comes back down to Canelo getting to choose these kind of opponents. Are we going to get the Benavidez fight? Canelo sounded like he feels great. And you know what? He looked like he did feel great. He looked good. But I can't get a good gauge on him unless I see a guy trying to beat him, unless I see a guy trying to win. And that was not Only Charlo tonight at all. So we're going to get the David Benavidez fight? Because Canelo's in a position where he can choose who he wants to fight, right? I mean, he's the money guy. He can choose who he wants to fight. He's with PBC for 3 fights. I think Jamel's non-committal performance all but eliminated any chance of his brother Jamal ever getting a fight with Canelo, that's for sure. But because people are going to automatically judge it that way, even though they shouldn't. They're all going to automatically judge it that way. The fact that Jamel was non-committal, they don't want to see Jamal. And Jamal not having fought in 2 years doesn't help him his own cause either. I want to see Benavidez. That's it. Canelo Benavidez is the fight. Canelo sold you this whole I feel great. He looked great. But it's hard to say how great he really looked against a guy who's completely non-committal. Very, very good boxing display as far as the shot selection, the creativity, the power shots, the way he disguised them very well. I was impressed in terms of all that. But again, when you have a certain amount of resistance, are you still going to be able to show that kind of confidence? Cut off the ring very well. That's something Canelo always does. I want to see Canelo versus David Benavidez. That's it. That's my final say. Jamel didn't commit to trying to win the fight. I think David Benavidez will try to commit to winning the fight. And that means even if you're going to get knocked out, you try to win the fight. That's it. Commit to winning the fight. You owe it to the fans. You owe it to the sport. Canelo now owes it to the fans to make the Benavidez fight. Jamel owed it to the fans to try harder tonight. He didn't do that. Let's hope we see Canelo versus Benavidez. I'm Paulie Malignaggi. This is Paulie TV. Canelo wins easily over Only Charlo.